Hi everyone, welcome to this video. Mark DeJesus here, helping people to experience healing, freedom, and transformation from the inside out. I've been doing a series on the subject of OCD and providing insights and help that have benefited my life and my journey. In this video, I want to give you 4 practical steps that you can begin to apply. The first 2 get the wheels going. The second 2 is where the rubber meets the road in breaking the cycle of what OCD brings into your life. Okay, the first step that we want to do is you want to identify what your obsession actually is and document it. Actually write it down. Have a writing exercise where you identify the obsession. It's usually a specific topic. Now here are the general areas. It might be a religious one, relationship one. All these listed here are kind of like some general topics, but then I want you to also get specific into where it typically goes, what that specific subject is. So it may be a religious obsession, and usually the obsessions in OCD are unwanted, they're disturbing, they create anxiety, they create guilt. It may be like a scrupulosity kind of thing. Maybe have to do with your salvation. Maybe have to do with sin in your life. Maybe have to do with not trusting God enough. It may have to do with fearful scriptures you read that create a lot of disturbance, okay? It might be a relationship thing where you feel unsettled in your relationship or a romantic relationship. Maybe sexual in nature. There's a lot of sexually unwanted thoughts people struggle with and disturbing thoughts that trouble them. Cleanliness, maybe a harm kind of thing, thoughts of harm. A lot of OCD has to do with intrusive thoughts. These thoughts that come in and create a lot of disturbance are unwanted. They're very frightening. Or there's some type of imperfection thing that kicks up that you feel you need to clean, rearrange, organize. And this sets the stage for the compulsion. So the first thing I want to encourage you to do as an exercise is just document the obsession. Now for some, this first step might be troublesome because just actually acknowledging it's there kicks up a lot of anxiety. You may not even want to mention the topic. You may not even want to mention the word. I know in my life, in my journey, many times I just wanted to just avoid it altogether and not even bring it up. So this first step was a challenging one for me, but actually helped me to face it in a whole new way and to see it outside of myself as I put things out there, okay? So the second step is now to identify your compulsion. Your compulsion is what you do to neutralize this issue. It's how you find peace. It's how you find safety, okay? So this is where you begin to do checking routines, where you're checking or you have this fixing way, maybe a way that you edit or a way that you try to fix the inner thought that you have. Now your compulsion may be visibly seen. It's something you do, like you actually research things, you overtalk, you want to get constant reassurance, you confess. Sometimes the compulsion is all in here because you have these inner debates that you go through, these hula hoops that you do. Maybe it's try to fix your salvation by trying to quote enough verses to convince yourself you're saved enough. Or you argue with the thoughts and debate them back and you're fighting them, right? Because they're so disturbing. You try to create all these arguments and it just amplifies the anxiety inside of you, okay? So number 1 is identify the obsession. Number 2 is identify the compulsion. Maybe from a general standpoint, and then get specific. What does it get into? Because a compulsion at first seems like it gives relief. And then over time, it's not really helping. So it has to be amplified more. It gets intensified or it leads into other compulsions. And now you have the cycle, obsessive compulsive. This kicks up, and the more that we engage it, the more that we become fearful of it, the more that we give it attention, the more it grows, right? People say, why does it keep growing and growing? Well, because it keeps being fed, so it returns, and it's fed into the compulsion. How do we know the thought gets fed? Because that compulsion always kicks in. It's our reaction and response to it, okay? So I'm giving you 4 steps. Like I said, the first 2, get the wheels moving, but 3 and 4 are where the rubber really meets the road. This is where I had to really learn how to break the cycle in my life. Because number 3 is going to be, I'm going to have to begin by starving the compulsion. Because you see, this is a false way that I try to find peace in my life. This is a counterfeit way of finding safety. It becomes something you rely on, but it's a false peace. It's not real peace. It's landing you into directions, into a reality that's not truly leading you into the peace, the sanity, the joy that you really want in your life. So we often have to come to terms with, okay, this cycle is not serving the life of my heart. Now, you'll notice when you starve the compulsion, this is a big step because you'll feel withdrawal symptoms. It's often like a drug addict coming off of a drug. You'll feel those withdrawal symptoms rise up. And two emotions will often be the ones that amplify. One is guilt. And paired with it is like shame, or you're doing something wrong as you're departing these compulsions. You're not going to be safe. You're heading in the wrong direction. If it's religious in nature, you're moving away from God. There's these amplified guilt feelings and shame that can come along with it. The second is a fear type of symptom. It'll come up like in the form of anxiety or worry, a sense of panic doom. Oh no, if I leave this, right? Because what you're leaving is your false sense of safety. And what you're going to move into is your new sense of safety. Starving the compulsion and learning what it means to be loved in the midst of a disturbing, unwanted thought, emotion that's there. You see, what OCD often reveals is our need for unconditional love. I had to recognize in my life, this was my system of feeling safe. This was my system of making sure things were just right. But it disconnected me from the power of love. And so OCD trains you to fix yourself, and then you'll find peace. God wants you to understand what it means to be loved first. And in relationship, we experience the life of what His love brings to us. It brings a transformative work to heal us, to set us free. But we have to learn love by learning to be unconditionally loved. And I found in my life and many OCD sufferers, they don't know how to be loved in the midst of disturbance. So while the disturbance is rising up, you starve the compulsion, what are you left with? You're left with a disturbing thought, which then leads you back into your compulsion again. But now we're starving it. So now what do? Now we're facing the issue. No more avoidance, not avoiding the issue anymore. I see the thought there. I know what it's trying to do. I'm not going to feed it anymore. I'm not going to feed it with actions. I'm not going to feed it with inner mental loops that I go through. I'm going to learn to redirect my attention from focusing on this thought to learning what it means to be unconditionally loved. And I had to learn the process that I encourage other people to experience. Learning how to gently redirect your attention back to a refined definition of love, unconditional love. I would even say to myself, I'm safe right now. I don't have to feed that. Now, I didn't harshly redirect myself. Come on, Mark, stop thinking that way. Because that's fear, that's law, and that's not going to lead you into freedom. I had to gently redirect myself. Yeah, it's okay. That thought's there. I see it. And I'm in the midst of it, even at times shaking in my boots, feeling the guilt, feeling the anxiety, but I'm not going to feed it anymore. And I'm going to let love just continue to have its work. And I would even tell myself, God, you love me, and I choose to love myself. And many times I couldn't feel it, I couldn't connect to it. But I made a decision, because love is a decision. I choose to embrace love, and I'm fully loved right now. And it led me on a heart healing journey because I began to understand I can lead my heart. I can make a decision to lead my heart, even though I don't feel it all right now, because all I feel is guilt and anxiety. And if I have to ride this like a roller coaster, I'm going to prove that in the end, the love of God wins. And there were times in the cycle where in the starving the compulsion, it would pitch a fit. But then I'd come over the horizon and I would see the anxiety and the guilt over time, begin to lower. And all I needed was a few wins, just a few wins, to remind myself, I've done it before, I can do it again. And over time, you build momentum. Now, don't practice this in 5 minutes and go, it doesn't work. Don't practice this and expect overnight results. Love is a journey. Love takes patience. Love takes kindness. In fact, many OCD people are very impatient with themselves, very unkind. You'll have to confront the reality that you have a very harsh inner critic. Now, don't try to just remove that inner critic. Invite love. Invite the love of the Father, which was demonstrated through Jesus Christ and His sacrifice for you, that in your current state, He died for you so that you could receive His love. But you're going to have to actively acknowledge it in the midst of your battles. 2 resources I would recommend to you if you want to take the next step. One is my book, God Loves Me and I Love Myself. This was a monumental shift in my life and in how I helped other people, because it taught me how to receive and engage the love that God has for me in a very practical way, in a very real way. Second resource is the Heart Healing Journey, especially the chapters right smack in the middle of it, where I get into the power of loving acceptance, patience, and kindness. I encourage you to get these in your life and in your journey. I pray this helps you. If it does, let me know, and I look forward to continuing to be a voice of love, of peace, of grace, and mercy, that you'd experience the freedom that's available for you in your life one step at a time. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in future episodes.